to the Bear Facts on Guns, where host Derek Baer and his guests are locked and loaded to educate, inspire, and answer your questions about firearms. Today, Gunner. Ready? Aim. Bear.
Thank you so much. Welcome back to the show. I know I've been kind of hiatus for a couple weeks here, back and forth. Got a couple reruns going, so we are back and squared away, locked and loaded. And God, do we got some content going on in the world today in the gun
Literally,
world.
you took time off during the craziest couple of weeks.
We knew it was going to happen, right?
Yeah.
So we pre-planned that. We have a great two guests in the show today.
Yeah.
So number one, my wife is joining me. Kiki, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good to have you on. And we have a furry friend here with us, hence the name of the show. His name is Gunner. Gunner is a 5-year-old Australian Shepherd. He is adorable.
Great.
He is going to be barking throughout the entire show. We are fostering him right now. It's actually our first foster dog ever. Yeah, you excited about that, buddy?
Yes.
I'm not going to lie. He's won my heart already, and it's going to be a little difficult if someone comes in and says, hey, I need to adopt this dog. But at the same time, if he has a good home to go to, I'm going to be okay with that too. So he is a 5-year-old. He is adorable. Hoof, Woof, and Meow. I'm going to do a shout-out to them because they're the ones that contacted us about it. And he is a working-class dog. For those of you that don't know about working-class dogs, they're a lot of work all the time. And he's super smart. You're very smart, buddy. He's got 2 different colors eyes, one blue, one brown. He's got a gorgeous complexion to him. He's
He is
white.
cool that way.
He's got some mixtures and colors in there as well. And to answer your question, yes, I took off during the busiest, craziest time. But you know what? It's good sometimes because if you think about it, like there's a lot of facts that you can't just dive into, right? And the facts are not the facts until you look at all sides of different parts of how things work, right?
Yeah.
So the Texas shooting being one, we can just start there.
Well, hold on.
Oh yeah, well we can hold
Let's
on.
just get it out of the way right now.
Okay, sounds good.
You took a couple weeks off.
Mm-hmm.
Your good friend Alec.
Yep. Still.
Still walking free.
Yeah, he's still walking free.
Still walking free.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything on this?
No, of
Nothing.
course not. Yeah,
Of course.
he's hidden from the media right now.
Yeah.
My biggest fear with him is that we're gonna end up. Yeah, Gunner doesn't like him either. Already, he's already bargained. He's gonna end up in another freaking movie. If he ends up in another movie, I got a problem with that.
That's a big problem.
It's gonna be an issue. I think he's forgive and forget. Like time forgets everything. Yeah, I'm not forgetting, buddy, at all. Gunner's not gonna forget.
You're not gonna
He's gonna
forget
bark
either.
it the whole time. Yeah, he knows. See, yeah, you talk about it, buddy. So he's got the best bark ever. I still don't know what it means yet. If I've tried to take him out to poop. Kiki got him to poop today. He's talking. He's going to keep talking, and that's fine. Oh, you're going to bark? You'll go bark in the mic. Oh, yeah. Good job, buddy. Good job. No, it's okay. Gunner, come here, buddy. Come here. Okay, sounds good. So, yes.
Was his name Gunner or did you?
His name was
is
so
Gunner.
it's so weird. In stars aligned, which is why I my heart's tugging a little bit on this dog. One, because he's an awesome dog. Very well trained, sits and pays attention. He's very active, which is great. I got him to tire out and sleep in my office today. But at the same time, Gunner is just a great theme for everything. So it kind of worked out really cool. And there's a sad story behind where his owners are and what happened with that. He was not abused in any way, shape, or form. He's in healthy weight. He looks great. And he's not too skinny. He's not too fat. And his teeth look great. I mean, he's a great dog, dude. I've had many dogs my whole life, and I'm very happy with him. He's getting neutered on Monday. So, Key, how do you feel about Alec Baldwin here?
Not interested.
Not interested? Can you elaborate on that, or are you just going to be not interested? And that's a no. So, that's no problem. All right, let's dive into the
Anybody else would already be in jail.
He would what?
Anybody else would already be in jail. Yeah.
Everybody. It's called manslaughter for a reason.
Right.
And manslaughter. That's what it is.
Absolutely.
People have gone to jail for far less things. And by the way, we're trying to get somebody that's in jail, imported from another country right now, and that's okay. But somebody shoots somebody in the face during a movie set, and that's not okay. That's okay too. So we got some weird stuff going on right now in the world. Texas.
Uvalde.
What a cluster from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is we are literally talking about the guns here, not about this kid at all.
Yeah.
Not about the hour and a half that it took the police department.
How many?
An hour and a half.
Not the length. How many police officers?
Oh, I mean, there must have been 50, 60, 70, more whatever. Every police officer in pretty much Texas was at that place.
Where's that?
And, the crazy thing is that principal of the Robb Elementary, he's on paid leave right now. Probably the best time in the world to take paid leave after your school just got shot up.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot of talk. I've had a lot of conversations. People have come up to me about this. A lot of emails back and forth about how I feel about this kind of stuff. Still dinging? Still dinging. It's okay. How do we fix this? It ain't the gun's fault. It ain't the firearm's fault. But here's the best part about this. This story gets deep, right? So the facts is that he used a credit card with his mother's name on it.
Yeah.
The gun store that sold him the firearms should have never sold him firearms without a matching credit card to that guy's name, or said grandmother involved in there as well. And to be even sadder about this, he shot the grandmother before he ended up going to the school.
Yeah.
This kid shot his grandmother in the face. The grandmother calls the police department because she lived.
Yeah.
Calls,
said, here's what he's doing.
Here's what he's doing. At that point, that's a phone call to the school to lock the school down. For those of you that don't know, you can't just walk on a school presence. Hi, Gunner. You can't just walk on a school right now. You can't jump into a school. You can't even walk into the premise of school without being stopped right now at all. I can't go to my high school right now without having a reason to be there.
And if there is an active shooter or threat in the area, in the vicinity,
anywhere near
it goes on lockdown.
Lockdown. And what that means is that no one in or out of that building at all. They have metal doors. These aren't like your house doors that you can kick in with a couple hits. These are metal, solid doors that can stop rounds. They have concrete buildings. Their windows are even specific. If you ever look at a structure of how a school is built, it's like a prison. It really is. And I hate to say that because there's some euphemism to that as well, too. I felt like a prisoner in my high school as well. You know how he got in? Back door that was left open.
Yeah.
So if that back door wasn't left open by whoever left it open, and at that point that person needs to be, reprimanded and let go of their job because personally you let the kid in because you forgot to do something. The truck he was driving, he stole the truck. The police department shows up on scene, and there's an uproar in the community. You have family members. You have fathers and mothers and sisters and brothers that are all screaming to get into the building to go save their children. And the police department is outside arresting the family members. What the heck?
Did you hear one of the gentlemen who was trying to get in to get his son?
His what?
His son.
Yes.
Trying to get in to get his son.
Yep.
Was arrested for disorderly conduct.
Correct.
During that.
Yep.
Sitting in jail still.
To this day.
Was not allowed to go to his son's funeral.
How disgusting is America right now?
That's
How disgusting
gross,
is Texas?
That's horrible.
For that.
Yeah.
If I were that father, we got a John Wick situation going on here.
Oh.
No offense.
It's just terrible.
I would go ballistic as that father. I think my guard would be gone. At that point, what does it matter? And at this point, I'm going to take down the entire town.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't blame him at all.
No.
He's barking.
He's mad too.
Yeah, I'd be upset too. Buddy.
He's barking. Gunner is barking.
On the microphone.
So today, just to let everyone out there know, today is the first day that we are taking Gunner home. So he is in completely new situation and getting
A lot
involved
of anxiety in the guy.
a lot of
anxiety.
back and forth with my life. But yeah, if you want to just take him on a walk, we'll be fine. Kiki will be right back. He's gonna go take him on a walk real quick and see. Okay.
Good boy.
So we have a community that's screaming. We have a dad that's in there, and I'm not talking about this dad going like,
Right.
ape stuff here with, an AR or something crazy. We're shooting people. I'm talking this guy is going to rip apart the justice system for the rest of his life in every way possibility, and everyone that was involved in any decision making whatsoever should be held responsible.
Yeah.
And it starts with the police chief. That police chief was there stopping people from getting in.
Right.
Kent, you're a father. I'm not a father. I have dogs and I have a wife. There's a difference. What would be going through your mind right now if you get a phone call that your daughter's school has an active shooter in it? It's a tough question.
It's a tough question. Anytime your child is in risk for harm, I've been called by the sheriff because my son totaled his car. Yeah, you stop what you're doing and you get there as fast as you can. It's your job. It's your innate. It's in your DNA to make sure that you protect your children. That's number one. And yes, I would have showed up, and if I saw them standing out doing nothing, it would have been hard to hold me back as well. It's just I put my life on my line for my kid, and if I'm going to get shot, I'm going to get shot. But if the police weren't running in there, I got to do something.
I have no issues with the police department, and I say that wholeheartedly, especially with my past with police in terms of everything. They have a job to do.
Yeah.
Your job is to protect the community first and foremost. It is not to hand out tickets. It is not to be a dick. It's not to, your first job is to uphold the law and protect those around you. That's what you get paid to do. If you don't like the job, get the fuck out. That's it.
Period.
Simple as that.
Yep.
Sorry. I'm going to be vulgar a little bit here because some of the stuff needs some vulgarity added to it.
Well, I had the opportunity to talk with a police chief in one of the local villages, and I said, man, first of all, thanks for what you're doing, but wow, sucks to be a police officer right now.
Big time.
And he looked at me and he says, actually, it's a tough time to be a police officer right now, but it's a great time to be in leadership for police.
Sure.
And I like that answer, which means there's, you learn things from every situation. There's training. There's things that go on, and you can, if you're in a leadership, as that gentleman was calling the shots, you have the ability to create change
On the spot.
And he decided, that gentleman down in Texas decided to have well-trained, Kevlar-vested police staff and SWAT or whatever stand down while innocent children who had no guns, had no Kevlar, were being shot. That's a tough decision to make. I don't know if I might have talked about it on a different show, but Uvalde, I don't know what kind of crime is in Uvalde. What is it? 5,000, 6, 7, 10, 15,000. So it's smaller than, the towns we live in around here. And you were Barney Fife. You probably chose that because, I'll have to give Betty a ticket as she drives home drunk from the saloon and she rolled through a stop sign. And I'll run every year and I'll get elected because, I hang out at the Little League field or something. Right. So, and then all of a sudden this happens, and he probably crapped his pants too. Like, I don't know what to do. Right. But I think he's in court right now. I think they're trying him right now and holding him.
So
accountable.
it brings up another great point. And there's a couple of things, right, folks? So, something local happened here that we're going to jump into in a minute, too. Uvalde has 15,000 people in it. Smaller than almost as small as, what? I mean, it's smaller than every suburb up here in McHenry County. Honestly, if you think about Gunner's coming in hot. Sorry, guys.
My wife grew up in Prairie du Chien that has 5,000 or 6,000 people.
Yeah.
So that's pretty small.
I'm laughing because Gunner's going nuts right now. And Kiki's doing a great job with him. So, and this is the first time Kiki's meeting him too. When you have a small
She's a cat lady, let's be honest.
She likes
I'm
cat.
a crazy cat lady.
Yeah, but we had a Doberman for many years.
And a puggle.
And she's a dog person. She's just not used. We haven't had one. We haven't had one for a year, unfortunately.
Over a year. Last March.
Yeah, last March. So when we're looking at a town of 15,000 people, you got to look at the demographics of what it is. The means average income in that town is $53,000 a year. So it's a smaller town. It's a working class town. It's not a high rich end town, which means that the police department probably isn't well funded. Okay, let's just start there. Probably some structure stuff that hasn't been set up that's in bigger communities, or the structure of what Chicago is like, which is having 9,000 officers per square block, which still don't do anything anyway, and can't, and that's it. So when we talk about these small towns, those are the ones that you never think is going to happen to your town.
Correct. That's why I say I went through the police academy.
Yep.
Maybe was in Houston for a while.
Yep.
I'm going to go. I still want to be a police. I'll go to a
Yep.
town of 15,000 where it'll be quiet. I can do some
There's not much action.
Can do some parking tickets, maybe a couple
Yeah.
B&Es.
Yep.
We're good to go.
Yeah, we know the local drunk. We've talked to him 20 times. He's been arrested 15 times. He's neighbors with the mayor. And, oh, by the way, the other neighbor is the judge.
Yeah.
And he has wine and whiskey with them on Sundays.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That's small town America, right? Happens all the time. The problem is that you neglect the fact that this just happened. And yet all I hear about is the gun, the type of gun, that assault rifle, which continues to be, you left the door open,
That's all right.
continues to be the focus around how different parts of our country look at it, is that this assault weapon, AR-15. Some things that don't make sense about this case, number one, is the amount of firearms that this kid bought that he didn't bring with him. Okay, he bought some heavy stuff.
Yep.
He bought some very expensive. The scope alone that he bought was over $2,500 for that firearm. He didn't buy the cheap stuff. He went high end. So, and by the way, that scope wasn't used for tactical in a situation that it was used in, which is an assault rifle at that point, because it's assaulting, right? So that's the act of assaulting.
Yeah.
We talked about that they're on right now on trial. Okay, so we put a trial out there when it comes to what's the trial that just ran that was famous and heavily, and she pooped in the bed.
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp.
Amber Heard.
Amber Heard, Johnny Depp are on trial, and everybody can see it. She did poop in the bed. That's that's what everybody remembers, right? It's huh?
Yeah. Megapint.
Megapint. Yes,
large
megapint.
glass of
Yeah, megapint. And we got to see this display of someone's intimate life of not in the fame of being in a movie. We get to see their intimate life outside of the movies, which, these movie stars are human as well, and should be charged with manslaughter
we go back
appropriately.
To it. This police officer, the sergeant or chief or whatever,
Yep.
is in court.
Yes.
Alex still not.
Alex is still. Yep, he's still free. Alec Baldwin's still free.
That's it.
So why is this not being? And truth be told, I don't want to see it. I think it needs to be behind closed doors. I don't want. Here's why. I don't want the fame for him. I don't want his name to be remembered. I will never speak his name, ever. I don't want to, because I'm not giving him the credit that he deserves.
Yeah, right. Right.
The credit that he deserves is to be hung
He's dead.
from Times Square
Oh, you
in
mean
the middle
the
of
police officer?
no
No,
the kid.
Yeah.
The kid that did it.
yeah.
Police officer made a bad decision, a bad call, a bad
Yeah.
judgment move. He needs to be held responsible. He needs to be terminated, and honestly, he needs to be probably sued about 400 times over from every single parent in there that paid him to do a job to be
Yeah.
a police chief and wasn't a police chief.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
The idea of blaming, and I guess here's how I want to say it. It was a horrific thing. It was a cowardly thing. Anytime I think that you shoot innocent people, it's very cowardly.
Big time.
But a lot of gun enthusiasts, Derek, blame, psychologist. Hey, we need to have better mental health. Now, I've got a daughter who's a clinical psychologist. It's not her fault.
Nope.
So everybody's looking. People are blaming guns. People are blaming therapists. Listen, it was horrible. That's it. Cowardly, gutless thing.
Absolutely.
Bad, crazy people do bad, crazy things.
Absolutely.
How those things are handled, totally different.
Yep.
And standing there for an hour, knowing that you can eliminate the threat.
Yep.
Oh, we couldn't find a key. You don't have windows?
You were in the hallway.
You don't have snipers?
You were in the hallway. Break the freaking door down. You got enough manpower to push a wall down at that point.
Yeah.
How about do your job?
Exactly.
Figure it the fuck out.
Exactly.
Okay. Because, by the way, I'd like all my money back for the taxpayers' dollars. I wouldn't. I think that town should say,
right.
Hey, by the way, you need to find a way to fund your police department because you didn't use it. You weren't utilized in the proper way when time needed.
Yeah.
Hey, the dollars due. Yes, you whatever. You wanted to be in a small town. You wanted to be out of everything. You wanted to make sure that, you wanted to not have excitement in your life. You signed up for a job, and you got paid to do a job.
Yeah.
It's like making sure that you understand that I'm a contractor and I get paid to put an HVAC system in or a plumbing service or whatever it is, and I don't do it, I don't get paid. Well, you didn't do your job and you got paid for years, and pensions and everything else, that 401ks and everything else that comes into. I want you to pay attention to the fact that at that point, I blame every officer on scene.
So this shooter was 17, 18, something?
Yep. I don't care.
Teenager.
I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Well,
could be 40. It doesn't matter.
Here's what I want to say is I heard this, I don't know, on a podcast, or it might have been Joe Rogan. I'm not sure where I heard it. But these school shootings are happening by people who've been trained what to do when there's a school shooting.
Mm-hmm.
So now we've created a problem to say, okay, if I'm a school shooter, I'm 17, I'm this kid, I know exactly what they're going to do.
Yep.
I know it's like robbing a bank after you've worked at a bank. I know exactly when the alarm gets set. I know exactly this. I know exactly that I can get in there in this amount of time, and I know before these doors are locked, I can get in if I move quickly. Mm-hmm. So we've created now, because of the safety protocol, which I'm not saying it isn't needed, but now we've created the mastermind on how to beat that game.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does, because you're pre-doing. You're in school. You're 16. You're 17 years old. And by the way, this kid didn't hit up like a high school. No, this kid hit up at elementary school.
10-year-old kid.
Yeah, like completely defenseless, the most innocent person in the world. Yeah, as children as you can possibly get. That's it pains my heart to say this, because the hardest part of all this is not. It's the long term. It's not the short term here. Like, yes, it's happened. He's in court. He's probably gonna get life in prison for the next forever, or death penalty, or whatever the fuck the justice system is. It's the long terms with the family, and I personally have lost a family member, a cousin, in a car accident. Is the one and only person I've actually lost in my entire family since I've been alive, other than like losing a great grandfather who I only remember when I was 10. Her name was Amanda. She's amazing. And my aunt and uncle to this day are still not the same. Okay? And that was and here's the thing. There was no fault, right, of who was driving or whatever was happening and how it happened. It was an accident. It was a country road. It was pouring rain out. Somebody missed a stop sign, and it T-boned. She's gone. At the end of the day, I look at my aunt and my uncle to this day, and they still talk about her. They still bring her up in every conversation. They still
see her.
I can see it. Her room's still put together, and she's got a memorial, and she's a penguin freak, and she loves penguins. So every time I think of penguins, I think of her. And me, I'm affected because I'm a cousin that lost a cousin that's probably the best cousin in the entire family. No joke. She's a church-going girl. Had a great career and didn't even have a boyfriend at the time because she was focused on making sure, she was doing life the right way. While I was out gallivanting the streets in a car as fast as I could, she was doing the right stuff, right? Yeah. He took the good one, didn't take the bad one.
Only the good day.
These families have to deal with this for the rest of time. These fathers and mothers, maybe their first kid being 10 years, you know what I mean? Dude, these are 10-year-old kids. How...
But I have to say this.
Man, how you
so does that police chief. For the rest of his life,
he's
got to live with this.
Yeah.
You got to change your name. You can't just move. Oh, you were sheriff in the Boomall?
Yep. Sit down for a job interview. Yeah, sit down for a job interview anywhere. And by the way, burn in hell, bro. Right. Burn in hell. Because you were the deciding factor in the entire incident. And again, it comes back, I said it a minute ago.
We're telling SWAT to stand down.
SWAT should know that is an order that cannot and should not be. You should relinquish his title on the spot. You have enough of the military and the police department are set up the same way.
Yes.
If the commander-in-chief is unfit for duty, there is ways to take over that is within minutes. Mm-hmm. Where is that authority? Where is that organization? Oh, we haven't. So now we're on this great kick, right, across the country of school shooting etiquette, and we're teaching the next shooter how to prepare, as per what you just said, how to get around it. Stop talking about it and follow procedures that you have in place. If that door wasn't locked or was locked, he couldn't get in. Yeah. If you would have listened to the phone call, he wouldn't have got in. If you would have paid attention to your policy and procedures in the gun store, Swiss cheese model, which we always talk about, this isn't like a one-off event that just randomly happened. This kid didn't wake up one morning. This kid planned this out, had mental problems, obviously, from whatever he had to deal with, and has snowballed into this big old problem, right? Here's a great one for you. Hear about the Highland Park shooting?
Yeah, well.
Highland Park, Illinois, one of the richest and most successful suburbs of Chicago that you could possibly live in, and one of the safest.
Yeah, like 10, 12 years ago, it was voted like one of the safest cities to grow up in.
And here's the best part. They banned AR-15s there. Huh? They actually went into people's homes and took AR-15s out of people's homes.
What? I didn't hear that.
Yes. They banned AR-15s up there.
Wow.
Okay? Here's the icing on the cake for this whole story. The kid that did this shooting, and by the way, we actually had friends that were at the parade about a block away. And to hear our friends talk about, he's so pretty on camera. He is. And you're a good talker, buddy. He's okay. He's okay. He's fine. He's just going to bark through the whole thing, and that's fine. So we had friends that were there. They were a block away. To see the text messages from them, because, of course, we know that they live there. We've hung out with them. And at the same time, I texted them right away just to make sure, because this is their first year living in Highland Park. Okay, so he's a very successful. Well, I mean, basically, right? Wow. Yes, we were scared. We were a block away. I ran home. They have a young daughter that's a year and a half old. I ran Penelope home and got her home, went back for the wife because the wife was hiding, like some pretty tragic stuff. That kid was the mayor's candidate's son of Highland Park. This dude's dad.
He had been mayor once before too, I think, right?
Of Highland Park, though? He just ran is the information I have on it. It's possible on there too.
Yeah.
This guy ran for mayor. And I listened to the videos. I listened to his dad talk. I listened to his uncle talk. So his dad's brother, who he lived with, by the way. Oh, no, he seems like an upstanding kid. Everything's fine. This dude dressed in drag, like a female, to hide in plain sight and be able to get access on top of and off of a roof. The questions I have here, you have the police department there. Does nobody remember the Boston Marathon? I'm just throwing it out there. Anytime you put a large crowd together, I'm on edge already. Because it's a potential terrorist attack, it's a potential shooter's attack, and it's a potential of a bombing attack, okay? Who's wearing backpacks? Who's the shifty person in the crowd? Who's the guy that I have to watch out for? Now, that's just me, because I'm aware of my surroundings at all times. Why do we not have security in places that need to have security? Again, small town, Highland Park, they did have security. Yeah, they had a police department there. They were in the parade. But wouldn't you protect your own? Wouldn't you protect other things?
At the end of the day, like, there's a way. If someone wants to do something really bad, they're going to figure out how to do it.
Is it the gun's fault?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
It's on the person.
Well, let's dig a little deeper into this Highland Park piece.
Beautiful.
So, we're right at the bottom of the hour. You're listening to 21.6 The Net. This is the Bear Facts on Guns course, brought to you through the financial support of our good friends over at Gold Shield Services. Check them out at www.goldshieldtoday.com for all your heating, air, electric, smart home, plumbing, anything that has to do with your home. This team can take care of you. Absolutely outstanding. Gold Shield Services, top shelf. All right. So going back here, this shooter in Highland Park, this young man, an incredible talent. What I mean by that is he wanted to be a hip-hop artist or rapper.
He did a video.
He had done several.
Correct.
To the point where I was like, oh, well, all right, whatever. Literally had millions of views.
Yep.
Millions of views.
Pre or post?
Pre.
Okay.
Pre. And all of his music and videos were of violence, mass shootings, school shootings, with footage from those things.
Yep.
Now we hold it there. A year and a half ago, he was threatening to kill everybody with swords.
Yep.
Okay, so he was in his dad's house or whatever, threatening to kill people with knives and swords. He had them ninja swords or whatever.
Yep.
Now, the police were called, and Dad says, "Oh, they're mine. He's fine. He's fine. Those are mine. He's fine." Which is fine. However, in the state of Illinois, if you are deemed a danger or the police have been called because you're a threat to people, you're not allowed to purchase firearms.
Correct.
Right?
Yep. You get blacklisted.
Yeah.
You get flagged.
I think his dad bought these, didn't he?
It's unclear,
at
this moment.
Yeah.
And we don't know who they purchased from, so I'm not going to comment on a fact on that because I don't have the facts for it.
Right. Now, I'm not as upset about that as I am. We have people listening all the time. Big Brother's listening all the time.
Sure.
And if you pose a threat as a terrorist or something of that nature, you usually get a knock on the door. Yep. This kid obviously did, because his music and his videos and everything was this way. So how did that fall through the cracks? Was it because Dad was a politician? Had money? I don't know.
But did his,
But again, if we go back to that Swiss cheese model, there's a big hole.
Two big holes. And that's where I come from when it comes to things like that, is that it's not just one thing. It's not just the gun. It's not just the ammunition. It's not just the means of how it happens. There's a giant Swiss cheese that has to happen before the event ends up. Now, where do we stop that, right? So that's always the question. Like, how do we prevent this from happening? How do we stop things from going forward? How do we put that stigma on somebody, right? That actual this is the person that's going to do that. What's the psychology behind that? Hey, your daughter's in psychology. What is she saying that says that, hey, this exact person is whom we need to watch out for, and by the way, we're going to deem you unsafe, so you can't have access to anything because your psychological nature is already bad. You can't do that.
No, you can't.
It's impossible because,
You're right.
by the way, right down the same hole that we just talked about, that psychopath is going to focus and learn how to manipulate so that he stays under the radar. If he's determined to do it, and Kiki said it perfectly. I know she's in and out of the show, guys. I'm sorry with that, but if when there's a will, there's a way.
Right.
When you find that will to wake up in the morning and say, today's D-Day, when you decide to strap a bomb in a backpack and walk into a crowd of thousands during a Boston Marathon that's been going on
During
for
the Olympics.
hundreds of years, during the Olympics, at what point do you say, hey, this isn't right? This guy was in school. Everyone knew him. There's so many bad things. And yet all we do is focus on it's the gun.
Yeah.
That's all the president's talking about. We need to have gun reform. That's the first thing. There's a story in there for a person that got shot in a spinal cord, right? And he severed his spinal cord. And the first thing he says to Lightfoot is, where's my gun reform? You guys have in Highland Park the strictest gun reforms in all of Illinois. It's even stricter than Cook County in the city of Chicago, by the way. But yet it still happened in your town. And we're going to get back to that caveat because there's another one that happened that's on the other side of the spectrum that was also brought up too. But go ahead, Ken.
I'm always marveled at the human brain. It fascinates me. And I swerve to not hit a squirrel.
Me too.
When I'm driving.
Yeah. I
Right?
crashed my car and not hit a squirrel.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
So
Yes.
so I'm sitting here going, at what happened to go, you know what? I'm going real life,
John
video-
Wick.
Yeah, right here. What's the one that Mia plays? Grand Theft Auto.
Yep.
I'm going literally Grand Theft Auto here. And at what point in your brain does it go, got one, got one, got one? And you're just spraying bullets into a crowd of defenseless people.
Yep.
And again, innocent kids were killed. There's a 8-year-old boy whose twin is, I don't know if he's made it or not, but will be paralyzed because it went right through him and severed his spine.
Yep.
That's your twin. I just
There's a baby out there that the mother and father handed their baby to an unknown source as they were protecting, and both of them are dead. This kid is going to have no parents because his parents shielded him from a murderous psychopath. I mean, it's the end of the day. The human brain is incredible, Ken. And I always ask my co-host that question because I try to look at both sides of everything.
Right. Now, I will say this. At the same time, I've been hunting. That's a sport.
Sure.
And I have shot and killed things as I have hunted.
Yeah, as intention.
When I say that, grouse. I don't like birds anyway.
They poop on your car. So I don't
and
like
squirrels. So that was with the 22.
Oh, nice. But your intention was to eat it or
and we did.
use it in some way, shape,
we
or form.
skinned it. We ate the squirrel. It was delicious.
Yeah.
Right.
So
and the grouse the same way. You did have to get the buckshot out of it.
Yeah, the buckshot, which you've shot. Or you haven't shot buck. You have shot buckshot.
I don't know what it was.
You
It
was
little
buckshot,
pellets that
which is
come
good.
out of the gun.
So we kind of roll into. So we talk about. We keep talking about gun reform. The president's talking about gun reform. That's what their goal in 46 years that he's been in politics has been. And I'm not trying to be political here, folks. So I'm just stating the facts, right? In 46 years, he has been against guns, hands down. Okay, in 46 years, he has been unsuccessful in reprimanding any kind of Second Amendment rights whatsoever when it comes to. Gunnar just brought me a toy. It's the cutest thing in the world. In terms of being able to reform any kind of Second Amendment on there as well. The second part of this is we have a state like Indiana. Does anybody know what happened in Indiana recently? Other than what I'm going to talk about. Do you know that Indiana got rid of their concealed carry licenses completely? They went Second Amendment whole. Open carry, concealed carry. There's
I did hear something about that.
Yeah, that happened 3 months ago. What happened last month? A shooting. Sorry, gunners.
At a mall.
Playing
or something,
tug of war with me right now.
Is that a mall or something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shooting at a mall in Indiana. Guess who took that shooter out? Concealed carry owner.
Yep.
40 bullets were shot. And this person shot 20 times. I think it was 15 or 16 times of it went into that target. 16 out of 20 is a pretty good number. I worry about the other 4 or 5 that they missed, but at the same time, you're under some great stress. You're a good tug of war player, buddy. My arm hurt now. So it's a positive and negative all at the same time. Negative because we don't know what the intention of the shooter was, what the history of it is. I haven't done research on it further than the fact that it was a concealed carry. It's been buried by the media. Literally no one's talking about it other than the fact that the pro-right side of things is, of course, continuing to talk about it. And Indiana has just removed all of the privileges of having to go do all this license stuff and just said, hey, just assume that everyone carries. Yeah. Arizona's the same way. Mm-hmm. We walked into a gun store, Bear Arms in Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona, one of my favorite gun stores out in the country, and walked in and I asked them, hey, obviously with the show, I always curious to know about gun laws and how does it feel? It feels great. I don't have to worry about filling permits out. I don't have to worry about doing whatever. And I said, so how many people actually carry? He goes, you better expect grandma's got a gun. Expect the daughter's got a gun. Expect everyone has a gun. You kind of think twice about, hey, do I want to piss this person off? Because they have a firearm on them. At all.
Right.
And you don't know the mental capability. So you kind of say things a little different. You kind of approach situations different, knowing that somebody might be armed and might be crazy and not have to do that, but you're just the fuse that sets them off. Again, I don't want to think like that.
Yeah, you don't go Karen on them.
No. But if we continue to look at gun laws and gun reforms, Gigi's already... It's okay. He can bark. He's fine. He's doing it. I know. I can't wait to hang out with you too. Come here, buddy. Come here. If we continue to look at the gun reforms and continue to restrict the owners that want guns and have good intentions with those guns, you're going to allow it to be easier to walk into a crowd of people with a bomb and have nobody to protect you. It's easier to walk into a mall and have nobody to protect you. Whether you believe in guns or not, the people that are pro-guns, the people that are pro-Second Amendment, and the people that actually care about this country in a positive sense, because you can believe, oh my God, that sounded terrible. You can God darn believe, and Gunnar didn't like how I said it either, that I am going to protect my family, my friends, and people that I don't know if an active shooter were to walk into a mall with me there, or to a concert, or to anything. And by the way, there was a no gun sign on the front of that mall. And guess what? It said no guns allowed. It had a big X with the gun on there. Guess what? Bet they're thinking twice about that now. Because if that person, that concealed carry owner that had proper training and actually did the right stuff, didn't have that firearm and didn't pay attention to it, whether they saw it or not or whatever, she's not, he or she, I don't care, I think it's a she, not being arrested, by the way, right now. You know why? Because she saved a whole bunch of lives. I think it was a guy. Maybe it was a guy. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Well, it's an argument that'll never be won. You're either for or you're against.
Yep.
There's nobody really in the middle.
I don't know. I got some friends that are in the middle that appreciate it. It's a weird thing because there's a small few that understand it, but just don't want it for them. But they agree with it, and they just go on with life hoping that it never happens to them.
Well, I don't own guns. We've established that
Sure.
on the show. But it's the Second Amendment. If you want to own a gun, that's cool. You want to conceal carry, you want to carry outright, that's cool. I still choose not to.
Sure.
My son is trained in the military and doesn't own. He doesn't feel the need for one in civilian areas.
Yeah.
Okay. And he's trained by our government. And that's okay. You're going to be comfortable with whatever it is. We for a long time. Well, you guys ride motorcycles. You wear helmets, but it's not the law
So
here
true.
in Illinois.
Yep.
because that's your choice.
Yep.
However, you go to Michigan, you got to wear one, whether you like it or not. You
Yep.
can't just say, "Oh, I got an Illinois license."
Yep.
They're like, "Yep, yeah, here's your ticket."
We don't care.
Right. But you go back, and I'll go back to the seat belt. I've heard I've heard a lot of arguments for the seat belt and guns, saying that they're similar. And yeah, we never had to wear seat belts, but when we figured it saved lives, okay, well, guns save lives too. They also take lives. Seat belts do the same thing.
They do take and receive. There's
Right.
incidences where and it's small, right? And
Right.
I think the seatbelt's a safe thing, and it's right. But yeah, it does save lives. I have this conversation all the time. 42,000 deaths in cars last year alone. 42,000 gun deaths. Why are we? And by the way, the gun deaths, 60-70% of it was suicide. So it wasn't even violence. It was just self-inflicted gunshot wounds that were suicide that killed. So you got to chop that number, that 42,000, down to nothing. It's not nothing, but it's something, right? But the cars, maybe there's 2% of it that was death by suicide by car. Like that's the first way I want to go is drive into a tree at 140 miles an hour to suicide myself. I'm sure there's a very tiny percentage of that's true, but yet we're not looking about safety in cars. I mean, Tesla is. Tesla's got 5-star rated across the board. Tesla still kill people. Yeah, I had to mention it. But I'm just saying, they do. They have 5-star rating. They have 5-star rollover readings. But here's the thing. People still die in Teslas. Sure. And every single time someone dies in a Tesla, it's national news. It's talked about. This unsafe to drive. Do you know that Tesla has actually prevented more accidents than any other car company in U.S. history in 1 year because of their anti-collision technology that's built into that car? It calculates the throttle that you have pushed on the pedal versus the car in front of you. It calculates that if you don't let off that throttle, you're going to rear end that car. And if you get close enough, it does it for you. That's technology that is either here nor there, but it does work.
Well, I've got a Kia that does the same thing.
Correct. Different technologies. But I'm telling you right now, I mean...
It's not electric.
But it makes you pay attention. It has red blinking lights that happen. I tell Kiki all the time, I'm like, it's hard for me to get into another car right now because the technology that's in this car is so advanced that it almost makes you lazy. Because you're like, oh,
Sure.
if I can just keep on the throttle until it reds at me, I can just let off the throttle. It's fine. Well, if that red stops, again, it's conscious decision.
That's why I was surprised. A guy who loves to drive like you do, why you would get a car that...
I just like the red
drive.
flashing all the time. I just try to make
He
it
likes
beep.
the speed.
It is. It is a fast car. It's amazing. Kiki, what are your thoughts on, in general, about being able to protect our Second Amendment? Because you're a new shooter too. I mean, not newer, but you're newer. Yeah. Would you have ever thought in your life to carry a firearm or a need for it?
I would say 5 or 10 years ago, never, but now, yes,
Why?
which is sad. Just because there's too many crazies out there. I feel like it's worse now than it was like 5 or 10 years ago.
Is it because of the media though, or is it because of raw data?
I don't know. That's hard to say.
You hear about it more. One, because I talk about it, right? So I kind of previous to it too. But two, I think the media has been pushing it, and we have things like Facebook that make it in our face, and the algorithms say, "Hey, we see that you like guns. Well, I'm gonna try and swing you to be an anti-gunner and show you all the negative possible." And the media only plays that negative output on it as well.
I think it's also too just the fact that I've become more comfortable around guns, so that makes a big difference too.
And we have to say we had a fun range day. We did our first outdoor range together. Mm-hmm. Not first outdoor range for me, but first outdoor range. We drove up to Wisconsin, and I brought my arsenal with me.
Yeah.
And I mean everything. Shotguns, my new 308, pistols, my AR, both the ARs. We brought the AR-15, 5.56, and we brought the AR-22, which is a freaking blast. And the cool thing about this place is Eagle Sports. Is that the name of it? I just want to give them a shout out.
No, it's in Eagle, Wisconsin, but it's called McMiller.
McMiller, perfect, good job. So McMiller, they have 25-yard range, 50-yard range, 75 or 100-yard range,
25, 50,
100,
300.
300. So as you guys know, I set out this year to hit a 300-yard, 1,000-yard shot is what I want to get to, right? And it takes steps to get there. So we started the day out, and we brought some friends with us too. We started the day out in a 50-yard range and scoped in my scope, worked on some pistols, had some fun with the ARs, and then we went over to the 25-yard range because it was a lot of fun because they had plankers, metal targets that you could literally, have a lot of fun with. Really super organized, but a different feeling, right? You're outside. There's no... You're not in an enclosed space. You have outdoor elements. You have wind. You have You have a lot of other shooters. There was a lot of people there. There's a lot of people, and a lot of people you don't know.
For all the listeners out there, it's not me breathing that way. It's the dog. Yeah, everybody on the radio is breathing.
It's exactly how it sounds too. And he's gonna start barking in a minute because he's staring at me right now. I'm sorry, buddy.
So you're there.
Yep.
300 yards. So that's 3 football fields.
Yeah.
With your eyesight.
308 and my 50 millimeter scope attached to it. But my new firearm this year that I've been working on.
Your 50 millimeter scope goes how far?
300 yards.
300 yards.
So here's in reference to give you a point of view. When you're staring at it with no scope, none of us at all, including myself, could see the target at all.
Really?
It was completely a tiny little black dot.
And it's like the ones we've shown on the.
It's a full-size person, a silhouette of it in a range. Yes, a full-size one. And you have to take a golf cart, by the way, because you're not walking 300 yards.
Well, you're not.
I mean, I'm not.
Honest.
I'm not.
Yeah.
And I was quite happy that they had golf carts there because,
yeah,
I was going to say I'm not going to walk 300 yards 9 times. I'm going to end up never taking a shot here. So, Gunner, it's okay, buddy. So, you look at the scope, you can see it. Now, in the scope is maxed out at 300 yards. It's designed for 300 yards. And you're looking in the scope, and you can see the target. It's there. The scope itself is covering pretty much the entire target, but it's far enough away where you were just going to be a naked eye shot, probably 50 yards. That's how it looks and feels, okay? For me, and everyone's different with this stuff. So I'm like, okay. So I take a deep breath. I calm down. I know the scope is scoped in. I know I'm now starting to deal with some telemetry stuff and some math, and I'm not experienced in this whatsoever. So I'm just going to take my first shot. Boom! Take the first shot. I'm like, okay, it felt good. It felt like I was on target. I looked in the scope and I go, shit, I can't see it. I don't know if I hit it or not at all. I can't see it. I can't see the hole. So I'm like, all right. So immediately I'm thinking, all right, how do I come up with a solution for this? Because there's a solution around this and it can be beneficial for both ways. I'm like, I'm going to do this in 15-round increments. I'm going to do 5 rounds shot high, 5 round shot middle, 5 round shot low. Okay? If I can go in one of those areas, I know that if I'm going high, I can see the dust kick up in the back, or if I'm going low, I can see the dust kick up. So I had them kind of tuned in and looking. So I, knock out 15 of them. And I at this point, I'm going to say it, folks, and it's going to kill me inside. It's luck, okay? 15 rounds, I'm hoping something hits the board somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay? So I drove the golf cart down. Went down, they got little red flashers and stuff to tell you so you know you're safe and no one can shoot and you can't touch anything. You get kicked out of the range immediately. They're real hard about that kind of stuff, which was good and comforting for me. And by the way, it was me and another guy, and that's it on this range. There was physically nobody has that kind of firearm to hit 300 yards, so it was dead. So it was completely silent, and it was away from everybody else, far enough away where it was just quiet. And you're like, this feels good. Like, I can't wait to go back again. This actually it was perfectly clean in there. Like, not many people have used it ever. We're the 100-yard range. And, we'll talk about the clay pigeons in a minute. So, I drive the golf cart down. I grab it. I look at the target, and I go, fuck, I hit 2 bullseyes. No way. I hit 2 bullseyes, which is what my goal was, right? 2 bullseyes means that you kind of do it. And I'm like, but I'm lying to myself because it took 15 shots. Guess how many ended on the paper of the 15? 4. 4 of the 15 shots ended up on the paper. And what I found out is that it was shooting, I needed to aim high, pretty high, to hit those shots properly. So I went back, and in my head I'm going, okay, I'm going to do 1 click on my scope down to make sure that I compensate for whatever so that I can hit that target again. So I was all confident. I was like, oh, I know what I'm doing. I know how excited I am. I paid attention to this. There was an old gunnery sergeant there, too, that I talked to, and he was giving me some ideas on things. And I said, great. He was laughing the whole time, by the way. He knew I sucked at this. It was the funniest thing in the world. He was trying to give me advice, and I was being stubborn. I'm like, no, because I have to do it my way. I'm going to listen to what he has to say. Huh?
No.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, seriously. So true. So I took another 15 shots, and I did the same thing, high, low, and down. So I got back in the golf cart, and I drove down there. Guess how many I hit? Fucking 0. 0. I didn't hit the paper once.
Ofer.
15 over nothing. And I looked at Kiki, and I said, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm done. I'm going back to the 100 range. I'm going to sit there, and next time I go, I'm going to spend a day just at this 300-yard range fucking with the scope to figure out what I need to do, because I have watched thousands of videos, but until you're staring down that scope, right, and it's comfortable. I got a great gun. It's more than capable to hit this shot. It's more than capable to hit a 1,000-yard shot, and I'm holding this and I'm staring at it, and I'm focusing on breathing. I have my finger on the trigger, and I'm about to push that trigger down, and it's real smooth because you can't jerk it. You can't, because you jerk it, it's gone. It literally is gone forever, and you have no idea where it went. So you're kind of leaned in. You're trying to breathe, and you press. Okay, cool. Bang. Okay, cool. All right, sounds good. You're millimeter off of even just a nudge left, nudge right, a breathing thing wrong makes that thing not hit the paper at all. Just FYI, in case anybody wants to pay attention to that. Now I have to do this 3 times further at some point in my life. That has been extended out because now I have to conquer this 300 and be confident about what the hell I'm doing with it and know what I need to do.
And it makes you respect
a sniper.
The sniper who sits there at that 1,000 yards and just follows that target until they get the okay.
Yeah, incredible. Much respect on there as well. The second fun thing we had, clay pigeons. Bought 100 clay pigeons, and it was the most fun I've had in a really long time, blowing these clay pigeons out of the sky. And we ended up doing 2 first, so 2 pigeons at the same time with my pump action Churchill that I had.
It's actually making a comeback in NCAA.
I freaking love it. I can't wait.
Shooting.
Yep, it's so much fun and so much detail. So I found that with that, it took some getting used to too. So I have to shoot low and follow it. So it's not, my grandfather used to say, get ahead of it, fire it, let it go. For whatever reason, how I work, I need to go low, and it freaking nails into it perfectly. I had so much fun with it. Kiki did an awesome job shooting it. We had a great day. So more to come in 2 weeks, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I can't wait to talk more.
Good to have you back in the studio.
Oh, man. Dude, this studio looks amazing.
Yeah. Gunner, appreciate you, buddy.
Yeah. Go ahead, buddy. Okay. Studio looks amazing, guys. Great job. Can't beat it. I'm so proud of everything in here, and can't wait to see more to come.
That's it. Of course, this has been the Bear Facts on Guns. That's Gunner giving us his 2 cents. Come back tomorrow morning for the grounds, bridging civil tension. We got the neighborhood pulse in the middle of the day, and then we've got In the Know with Steph and Joe, but more importantly, finish your Friday evening with the Dream Home Experts live from the Quiet Cool Studios at 8. We'll catch you then. Thanks for getting caught in the net. Everybody be good, but more importantly, be good to one another.